In every European household that lived through war, rationing, and fuel shortages, there was one appliance that stayed long after others modernized. It was not sentimental, it was practical. Long before energy labels, carbon targets, or smart meters, older Europeans already understood how to reduce household power demand without sacrificing function. The appliance they replaced last was the refrigerator, specifically the transition from the icebox and cellar-based cold storage to early electric fridges. Understanding why this change happened so slowly reveals a forgotten logic shaped by war economies, fragile grids, and the constant threat of disruption. Cold storage existed before electricity ever entered the home. Across Europe, cold food preservation did not begin with electricity. Root cellars, larders built into north-facing walls, and ice boxes supplied by harvested winter ice were already efficient systems. In Scandinavia, Central Europe, and the Alpine regions, households cut ice from lakes and rivers, insulated it with sawdust, and stored it underground well into summer. In Britain, France, and Germany, ice delivery remained common into the 1950s. These systems consumed no electricity and relied on thermal mass and insulation rather than constant energy input. For families who had survived blackouts, bomb damage, and fuel rationing, this mattered more than convenience. Early electric refrigerators were not efficient by modern standards. When electric refrigerators became available in the 1930s and expanded after the war, they were power-hungry, mechanically simple, and poorly insulated by today's standards. Compressors ran frequently, door seals degraded quickly, voltage fluctuations shortened motor life. In post-war Europe, grids were unstable and electricity prices unpredictable. Older households saw electric refrigeration as a liability rather than progress. Many families adopted hybrid systems, using small electric fridges only for perishables while keeping cellars and pantries for bulk storage. This reduced runtime and electricity draw while maintaining food security during outages. War experience shaped energy behavior permanently. People who lived through World War I and World War II learned that energy is never guaranteed. Occupied territories experienced rolling blackouts. Coal shortages shut down municipal power plants. Rural electrification lagged decades behind cities. As a result, seniors designed households that functioned without electricity whenever possible. Refrigeration was the last system to be fully electrified because it was the most vulnerable to interruption. Food loss during power failure was unacceptable. Iceboxes, cellars, and evaporative cooling cupboards could operate indefinitely with no grid connection. That resilience mattered more than modernity. Architecture reduced power demand before appliances ever did. European homes built before mass electrification were designed to regulate temperature passively. Thick masonry walls, shaded courtyards, and small window openings helped reduce heat gain. North-facing storage rooms stayed cool all year round. Many refrigerators installed later were placed in these naturally cool spaces, which, dramatically reduced compressor workload. Seniors understood placement mattered. A fridge in a cool pantry consumed far less electricity than one in a sunlit kitchen. This knowledge came from lived experience, not engineering manuals, and it explains why early refrigerators in older homes often outperformed modern units placed poorly. Food habits made low-energy refrigeration possible. Older Europeans shopped differently. Daily markets, preserved foods, and seasonal eating reduced reliance on cold storage. Meat was cured, smoked, or cooked immediately. Dairy was purchased in small quantities. Leftovers were minimized. So, a refrigerator did not need to maintain large volumes at low temperature constantly. Smaller fridges or shared communal cold rooms were sufficient. This reduced both energy use and mechanical wear. Even after adopting electric refrigeration, many seniors kept habits that modern households abandoned, which is why their overall energy footprint remained low. Lighting radios and heating converted to electricity earlier because failure was inconvenient, not catastrophic. Refrigeration failure meant food loss. Seniors delayed that risk until electric supply stabilized and appliances improved. In much of Europe, full adoption did not occur until the 1960s or later. Even then, older households often retained iceboxes as backup. This redundancy was intentional. It reflected a war mindset that assumed systems fail and planned accordingly. Modern households can apply the same principles without rejecting technology. Placing refrigerators in the coolest available location, well, that reduces energy use immediately. Using smaller units for daily needs while reserving bulk storage for naturally cool spaces, that's just like folks did in the past. Limiting door openings, avoiding overstocking warm food, and maintaining seals, those were all habits seniors practiced instinctively. In off-grid or emergency scenarios, building a simple cellar or insulated cold cabinet can extend food life without power. These are not nostalgic tricks. They are field-tested survival methods refined under pressure. Energy systems remain fragile. Geopolitical conflict, grid strain, and supply disruptions are not relics of the past. European history proves that households that minimize dependence survive disruption better. Seniors replaced the refrigerator last, not because they feared progress, but because they understood risk. They waited until the system supporting it could be trusted. That logic remains sound today, especially for those who study war, resilience, and civilian survival. This is the kind of practical history that deserves preservation. If you value serious analysis grounded in lived experience, subscribe to Warpaths of Europe, share this guide with fellow historians and survivalists, and keep these lessons alive while they still matter.